Elden Ring's DLC officially got announced recently, but we still have no release date or trailer or really anything. So that's why today I want to talk about 3 things I'd love to see come to the DLC, and maybe I can brag a little bit if they end up happening. So let me start this off by saying the only thing I really want in this DLC is the hardest and most difficult bosses they've ever done. No pressure or anything. It's no secret that they always step up their game in the DLCs, and I'm gonna mention it again. Yes, Dark Souls 3, that's what I need more of. Dark Souls 3 bosses. We could throw Bloodborne in there too. Honestly, we could throw all of them in there, all the DLCs, they step it up. Where is the Sekiro DLC? I'm sorry, I still haven't gotten over it. But the first real thing I'd love to see in Elden Ring's DLC is, of course, a boss rush mode. Obviously, this was introduced in Sekiro, and I've heard a lot of speculation saying it might be coming to Elden Ring, but I'm really curious to see how this would work. If they remade it exactly how they did in Sekiro, I would be completely fine with that. I'd be super happy, but I feel like they'd probably change it up a little bit. The biggest question I really have is how are they going to actually decide which bosses to include? Because honestly, if they could add every single boss, I don't think they will, but if they could add every single boss that they've had in the entire game, it'd be incredible, because there are tons of mini bosses and random dungeon bosses that I completely destroyed in my first playthrough because I was super overpowered. And I'd love to be able to go back and actually fight them normally. I don't know if they would scale it. I'm assuming they do it like Sekiro, where they'd scale it up to your current level. And along with the boss rush mode, like how Sekiro did, I'd love if they had extra stuff to unlock, or like different challenges like the runs Sekiro had. I think that'd be really cool. And with how many bosses there are, I don't think it would be super hard to do stuff like this, because honestly, hopefully they'd have things to unlock like items or achievements for completing these, so we'd have more of an incentive to actually beat these rushes. Because in the beginning, when Sekiro first introduced it, I didn't realize you could actually unlock new skills and outfits for completing these, which ended up being a pleasant surprise and motivated me to finish the rest of them. Also, if they did variations to some bosses, that'd be kind of nuts. I know that's asking for a lot, but that'd be awesome. And going along with this, I'd really like some game modes for PvP, like if they had a no Ash of War game mode, or like specific weapons only. I think that'd be really cool. I doubt they do this, but I would really love to see it. Especially with how powerful Ashes of War are in this game, I think a lot of people would appreciate modes that switched it up to add some more variation. I'm not sure if that'd be controversial or not, but I know I would personally love some different game modes like that. Okay, I guess this is gonna end up being way more than 3 things, but 3 main core concepts, okay? Just go with me. Something I said from the beginning that I actually thought they were gonna add and was really surprised that it never showed up during the game, but upgrades for Torrent. Really, the one I kept expecting was a way to increase its health bar, but I guess it never happened. I mean, we have items that can heal Torrent, so I'm really surprised there's no way to just increase the health overall. But I think it'd be really cool to have armor sets for Torrent as well. You could have different stats for them, different drops. Maybe if they didn't want to go through all that trouble, there'd be some way you could forge armor for Torrent out of your own armor sets. I think that would work, and they wouldn't have to come up with completely original designs just for that. There's a ton of armor stuff I don't ever use, so it'd be nice if I could give it to Torrent. And one that I doubt they would do, but would be really cool, is a way to increase its speed, or maybe just like an item that gives it a temporary boost, but being able to give Torrent speed would be insane. Not like speed, like, you know what I mean. But I think this might just be a little bit too overpowered against bosses or anything like that, so I guess that makes sense. But I mean, you can't use Torrent for PvP, and that's the only thing I feel like they may think is a little bit too broken. So if you could use it against a boss, I don't see a huge problem with it. But giving just us, the player, new armor as well would be cool. I expect this, and I'm assuming this is gonna happen. But a couple other little things, like extra uses for the flasks of Wondrous Physic. I always wondered why you only got 1 use, and I really think this was kind of underutilized. I think they could add a lot more features to this, like giving a ton of different buff options. I know there's plenty out there, but I feel like they could add some more unique ones to play around with different builds. And things like more talisman slots as well. But a really big one that I've been wanting is build switching / kind of like weapon upgrades transferring. I think this would be super cool, because a big problem I have with Elden Ring, the reason I haven't got as much replayability, is because as soon as you max out a weapon, like as soon as you upgrade it all the way, you don't really want to try out any other weapons, because you already used everything, and you don't really want to go back and gather all the materials again. So I think it'd be really cool if you could maybe transfer that level over to a different weapon, even just to try it out. I don't know if this would kind of break how the game works, but but honestly, I don't really see a huge problem with it. I can't think of any flaws. Like if you have plus 10 of one weapon, you can just go back to the blacksmith and have him transfer that level to a different weapon. I feel like this would give the game a lot more replayability, even if it was just for PvP, and it would encourage players to switch up their builds even more. And one more tiny little thing, the Crucible Knight wings. Oh my, can you imagine if we could use that? That's like the one new item they could add, and I would be totally fine with it. That would be awesome. But I'm sure there are too many problems with that for them to actually be able to add that, but I'm just let me dream for a minute. Also, hit that subscribe button if you're excited. I'm obviously going to be doing a ton of videos about the Elden Ring DLC when it comes out, and I'm so close to 100K. Please just let me get the plaque so I can brag to my friends. But the third thing I'm really looking for is a new map, not like an entire different map, but some unique biomes, taking some risks with the atmosphere. I feel like the game started to go in a futuristic spacey theme toward the mid to late game, and I'd love to see them expand on this idea and push that boundary further. I know I'm asking for a lot here, but I know what FromSoft's capable of, and I'm just such a fan of these games. I know whatever they end up doing is going to be incredible either way. I'd also love to see Covenants make a return. I'm actually not sure why they're not in Elden Ring. I don't know how likely this is to return, but I'd be really curious to see what they could end up doing with it. And then the obvious stuff like expanding on the story of Mikola, finishing up a lot of the loose ends with the lore. I know they like to keep the writing pretty vague and up for interpretation, but I can't wait to see what they do. I was gonna mention patches or nerfs since they hadn't had an update in a while, but they just released patch 1.09 the other day, so I guess it'll just depend on how long we have to wait for the DLC now, which hopefully will be within the next few months. I'm hoping this last update means it's on its way, but since we don't have a release date yet, we really have no way of knowing. I've been hearing a lot of people say 2024, so let's pray it's not that far in advance. Like, come on. But honestly, as long as we get a quality product, I don't care. They can take all the time they need. And I'm curious to see how long the DLC is, because it's no secret this game is massive, and previously some of the DLCs like Dark Souls 2 have been pretty much like the size of the entire game. And since we've already been waiting for an entire year for this, I have a feeling it's going to be pretty large. But I really hope for weapons that they just go quality over quantity here, because I would love to see some new weapons, but I would rather them be few and far between, and the ones that we actually get are incredible and actually have use. I do have high hopes, and I may be a fool for that, but FromSoft has yet to ever let me down, so I'm trusting them here. You guys got this. Fingers crossed for the DLC, Armored Core coming soon. Life is good, man. Life is good. Anyway, no outro.